Welcome back to Pixelated Zen Plays. This is Krovlar, and this is the second episode of our show, as well as being the second episode of our DCUO playthrough. If you missed the last episode, you're looking at Kwahu, a nature-powered shapeshifter of mine. If you have seen the last episode, you might be wondering why I'm talking over some of the voices here. And that's just because this part is basically just a tutorial to show you around the first safe house and get you familiar with where everything is. Nothing special. Up in this direction are the vendors. That's where you'll repair and buy soda colas, and occasionally they'll have some gear you can buy, but really not often. At 14 and 24, there are PvP sets that you can buy from vendors, and they're nice. They're better than what you could find, but you're only going to want the weapons unless you are heavy into PvP, because this game has separated defense from toughness. Now, toughness is basically defense, but only against players. Defense is defense against NPCs. So you're not going to want to deck your character out in a bunch of PvP gear, even with the extra health, but you are going to want to get the weapons, because they're going to be better than pretty much anything you're going to find.
Then find Lightkeeper Ambrose. He has a message for you from Wonder Woman.
I do like the mail system in DCUO. Now, the UI itself is kind of clunky, but generally when you send something, it seems pretty instant for somebody else to get it, at least if they're on your friends list, which is nice. You also get little items like this, like you just saw me put on a mask. You get random things for just finding items in the world, or for doing races, things like that. And what you're seeing right now is I'm just showing you some of the different styles I've collected already just from the tutorial, and just showing you that once you've collected a style, it's always there for you. You can always change into it later, so you don't have to worry about, not changing the way you look. A lot of superhero MMOs have that. You've made your character, and that's how he's going to look for the rest of the game, unless you go back into the character creator and kind of remake him.
Felix Faust and his magents are stealing souls in Chinatown. The Sentinels of Magic are overwhelmed. We need you to stop his ritual. Wonder Woman will contact you with further instructions.
This guy's voice is awful. I don't know why. It just bugs me. It doesn't fit with his character.
This is Wonder Woman. Your ability to break free from Brainiac is an impressive testament to your new magical powers. I am asking you to use these now, in the fight for freedom and truth. Felix Faust and his magents are stealing souls in Chinatown. Your aid could tip the
I really like
balance.
the voice they got for Wonder Woman. Gina Torres, she was Zoe from Firefly. Really like a powerful woman. One of the few that I've seen in mainstream media that really captured a powerful woman without making her kind of a bitch, That's the trap that they often fall into, and she didn't. Alright, now we're going to leave the precinct and go out into the wide world. This is Metropolis, a Chinatown district that you're about to see. And straight ahead of us is a race that we're about to start. That you can find races all over the world, and they're actually really fun. They change depending on the travel power you have. Some of them can get really difficult as well, especially if you've picked super speed. It's my least favorite of the travel powers, just because if you want anything resembling precision, you're not going to find it with super speed. It seems really hectic and haphazard. I really enjoy the flight, as you can see here. Especially after you get to level 10, you get a super speed, technically supersonic flight. Once you get that, flying is just one of the best things you can do in the game. Acrobatics is another good one. I enjoy that one as well. I don't enjoy the rocket boots you get with it. The controls are just a little off. It doesn't feel quite right. It's kind of like a poor man's flying. But if you ignore the rocket boots and you treat it more like Batman, it's actually really fun. You can grappling hook up to the rooftops, and it's kind of like Spider-Man as well, since you're crawling on the walls and everything.
The Sentinels of Magic were formed to combat these sorts of magical crimes. But the number of Faust's Soulless is far beyond their control. The spellcaster Zatanna led the fight to stop Faust's foul ritual, but she's disappeared. If Faust has found some way to silence her, we must free her before it is too late.
We're just going to go up here and collect this quest.
Hey, so you should know that people everywhere can use your help. Usually you'll find them near crisis spots in the city. Here's one. See if you can lend a hand?
Faust soulless walk among us, their souls crying out for freedom. Use the soul wells to summon the soul globes, then destroy the globes and free their spirits.
It is a good habit to get into. Whenever you go to a new questing area, fly around the questing area for a little while and see if you can find a side quest, because they're usually everywhere. Usually every questing area has at least one side quest that you can find, and it's best to find it before you've done everything in the quest area and then you realize, oh.
Initiate field report. Sadly, there's not much left of this soul, but hope is never lost.
You'll find little icons like these around the world. They're player briefings, investigations, and you'll even find yellow ones with a question mark that are collections. They'll give you either little bits of story or little pieces that flesh out the world, and the collections will actually give you little items that you, oddly enough, collect that will eventually, if you complete the set, give you some piece of gear, including a really cool trench coat for some of them, well, one of them. But there are some really cool items that you can get nonetheless, depending on what you want your character to look like. And if you notice, I've made a mistake here that I'll realize in a minute. If you look at my quest log here, you'll see Find Lightkeeper Talib. Even though I've already talked to him and gotten his quest, it didn't register that I did. So I'm running around fighting these things and I'm not getting credit for the actual main quest. I'll notice that here in a bit and fly back up and talk to him again, or at least just fly near him and it'll count. But the game has a few bugs still, even though it's been out for so long, but it's easy to overlook once you've gotten into the game. It's just a lot of content and a lot of unique and great ideas that this game brings to the table that I haven't found in any other MMO. And that's the werewolf transformation. I've never actually used this yet. Usually when you transform into other things, or even other states such as stealth state or anything like that, you'll get a new action bar. It'll give you different abilities. And usually for a change this big, you'll get different combos as well. I don't know any of the werewolf combos, so you won't see me doing anything cool yet. But I do try and mess around with a little bit and see if I can figure some of them out. And as I go along, we'll learn together. What you saw there, I didn't actually steal that from that guy. The way DCUO works, if there's a two-part quest item, so the first thing you got to do is activate it and then you've got to destroy it. Well, if one person activates it and then another person comes along and destroys it, usually you both get credit for the quest, which is kind of nice. Also, if you're fighting a mob that somebody needs for a quest and they run up and help you kill it, usually they'll get credit as well, depending on how low the mob's health is when they start attacking and things like that. And again, it can bug out, but usually it works. These right here are exobytes. They're what you get for crafting. Exobits, I guess. You just collect a ton of them, and then you can go to the Watchtower or the Hall of Doom for villains and craft. And you'll see that I've got another guy here kind of helping me out and doing his own thing, but we're all kind of on the same page around here. Usually the Wonder Woman starting area is what I pick when I don't really care who my mentor is, and that's just because there are far less people there. Ever since the game went free to play, the population of this game has increased, and that's great. That's really good for the health of the game, but not so good for the starting areas, especially in a free to play game. They're just packed, especially if you go to the Superman one, which oddly enough is my least favorite, which is good because it's Gorilla Grodd and you're fighting a bunch of apes, and it just seems like a silly thing to do in a superhero world. And I know some people can't get enough of Gorilla Grodd, but there we go. I've finally gotten the actual quest I need to go kill these soulless thralls, so let's start that again. I'm actually really enjoying the way this dual wield looks with this character. I've tried it with a couple other characters and I just can't get into it. Except for one other character I have. He's a Green Lantern character and he's got the Nightwing type Eskrima sticks. I have no idea how to say that properly. They're basically batons. And that looks pretty good, but that's the only other character I've ever found that I really like the dual wield with until now. I'm actually really enjoying this character so far. I'm going to keep playing him. Hopefully you all keep watching, and we'll see how far this goes. My goal with him is to get to level 30, which is the level cap. It really doesn't take that long to get to. And show you some of the great things about DCUO, including the duos, which I love. Duos are kind of little dungeons that you can do with just 2 people. And you generally don't need a specialized group, but they're just quick, they're fun, they give you some good gear to start out with, and I really enjoy doing them. They even have tiers of duos, so you can have tier 1 until you've gotten all your tier 1 gear, or a few pieces at least, and then you move on to tier 2, and then finally tier 3, and just like raiding or just like some of the alerts, and it's really nice. You aren't stuck with one level of duos, and then you're going to have to raid if you want to do anything better.
These soulless victims are Faust's doing. We must find Zatanna and undo this evil. A sentinel of magic nearby has an amulet that will help you find her.
Alright, we finally got this main part of the quest done, and now we're off to the last part here. We're just going to go find this new sentinel, talk to him real quick, and then I think we're going to stop the show for today, and we'll pick back up right after this. Just don't want this thing to go on for too long. It's already been over 10 minutes so far, and I figure that's a good stopping place.
Praise Nabu you are here. Use this mind siphon on Faust's Magents to steal their memories and discover where they've taken Zatanna.
Thank you all for watching. This was Pixelated Zen Plays.